The Dog and Deuce Show is produced by Dymar Productions in association with Studio B Productions.
Coming to you from the headquarters of Studio B in Salt Lake City, where we always bite on the play action. This is Dog and Deuce number 122. On this episode, we'll talk about Max Hall's recent troubles. We'll break down week one of the college football season and preview the opening week of NFL football. It's here. This is Dog and Deuce.
Hey, this is Dale Murphy, two-time NL MVP, and you're listening to Dog and Deuce.
From Studio B in Salt Lake City, this is Dog and Deuce. Join the conversation at doganddeuce.com or send an email to doganddeuce@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening to episode 122 of the Dog and Deuce Show. Follow along with the show notes at doganddeuce.com.
You can call or text the D&D Show voicemail and text line at 801-477-7678. That's 801-47-SPORT. Or send us an email to doganddeuce@gmail.com. I'm Dog.
And I'm Deuce.
This is episode 122 of the Dog and Deuce Show at doganddeuce.com, on iTunes, on Stitcher, and of course on K-Powder TV. All weekend long for your viewing pleasure. It's freaking football season. How was your week one, James?
Woo, I got week one under my belt. I'm 5 pounds heavier.
Did you get your fix in? Here's the thing, man.
Yo.
No, you didn't.
Dude, it takes a lot.
That's tragic.
It takes a lot for me to get the fix in. I got a taste. And I'm still looking to satiate my appetite. It's a big appetite. Especially when it comes to football. I told you last week, my wife said I'm inapproachable, irreconcilable, and all that good stuff. But it was a good week, except for Utah State fans. Thanks for making me look not smart, Utah State. I pick you, I go out on a ledge, and you just don't even catch me when I'm falling.
Yeah, that was a bad one. You did totally pick them to beat Tennessee, and you picked them to beat them pretty good, right?
I can't remember the score. All I thought is that Chucky Keaton would have a comeback for the ages, cement his legacy, even though it's probably already pretty cemented up there in Logan. And really, let's be honest, 38-7 is dropping not a good opening impression. I also want to point out, I still have yet to see you wear a Cubs hat.
You're right. A couple of weeks ago.
I'm getting sick of the paperboy hat. I want to see a red C with a royal blue hat next week.
Let's reset this a little bit for listeners and viewers who don't know what we're talking about. A couple of weeks ago, I brought back, we've been friends for a very long time.
Yeah, this is a long
It feels like decades and decades and decades.
It's been a decade and more.
It feels a lot longer than that being your friend, man.
I know.
I have sympathy for Kate.
Yeah.
That poor woman.
I know.
But a while back when the Cubs were actually good, I mean, it doesn't happen very often, right? But, once a century or so.
Right. If that, they were pretty good. And you told me that if I went and bought a Chicago Cubs hat, and if I wore the Cubs hat regularly, that you would take me to the World Series. You would buy my ticket if the Cubs got to the World Series. Right.
Is that
that's
good?
Absolutely correct.
Okay. Did I miss any stipulations?
There were no stipulations other than you had to wear it. And, this is a safe bet for me, really,
Yeah, it is. Very safe bet. But your luck, they would.
Right.
First thing. So a couple of weeks ago, we brought that up, and I told you I'd go buy a Cubs hat.
Still haven't seen
Still
one.
in the works.
Still in the works.
I will get it, though.
Okay.
I will get it. I'm making a pledge.
Okay.
I want to say for next week, but I can't guarantee it. I'm still a little sick, okay? I'm hoping my voice will hold out for this entire show because it's been off and on the past week. So I can't guarantee by next week, but within 2 weeks, I will be rocking a Chicago Cubs hat.
All right.
And you will take me. And I want to make this perfectly clear. It's not for this World Series.
No. Well, no.
It's for whatever World Series
eternity,
they get to.
dude.
All right. Okay.
Until they ever get to the World Series.
What about accommodations? This is a big deal.
Accommodations. Well, that's something we'll have to discuss. Let's get to the World Series.
All right.
And then we can negotiate.
We'll
from
iron
there.
out those details as we go.
Exactly.
All right. But this has been a big week. College football is here. Football is finally here. I love it. I've been glued to the TV nonstop. I can't get enough of it. And, of course, NFL starting this week, and we're going to break down our picks. Every year we tally up. Every week we make our picks, and at the end of the year we tally up who had the most right. And I always win because I'm much better at this than you are.
You are.
I'm a better prognosticator than you are, right?
You are like the Notre Dame of picks versus me.
Nostradamus.
Oh, thank you.
Gosh. See, you are so into football and sports that you're getting college football. I was just
going to say like Notre Dame.
Right, exactly. You're mixing up your college football with
yeah,
exactly.
That guy, the dude who predicts everything, but you really have to read between the lines. You're like that guy.
Oh, okay, I see. Kind of like last week.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So we have a ton to talk about. In fact, this is always our busiest season for sure. Now, when we used to just do the audio podcast, these shows would regularly go into 2 hours. I think we got up to 2.5 hours one time.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because we got to talk college football, we got to break down the upcoming week in college football for each team, and then we got to do the NFL. And we got a lot to say about all those things. But now we have a time slot, and we have to fit all this stuff within a certain time. It's going to be very hard. So let's stop screwing around and let's get into this. Let's stop jibber-jabbing.
This is for us is like, what was that event at the end of American Gladiator where you had to like run through?
Oh.
This is like
the gauntlet or something like
that.
The
gauntlet. This is like the hour gauntlet for us to see if we can do it and how well we can do it.
It's going to be tough, man.
The test begins, my friend.
Brevity. It's all about brevity. But first, the huge news, and everybody is talking about this. Absolutely everyone. Every podcast I've listened to, locally based podcast, every radio personality, it's all over the papers. Max Hall, former BYU quarterback, really, he was one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I still think John Beck was better, but that's me. It's just me.
We've settled that debate.
We have. In fact, our good friend Matt Quinney told me that I'm an idiot, and he does know way better than I do on this subject. So I'm going to take his word for it. But,
okay,
not really. But Max Hall ran into some pretty big troubles, and it really is a sad story. He was caught in a parking lot, if I'm not mistaken, with a bunch of shoplifted goods from Best Buy and a baggie of personal use cocaine, I think is how they categorized it. So he had shoplifted goods and cocaine in the car. Now, understandably so, a lot of Ute fans have been piling on. And I get it, because I'm a Ute fan. And I get it. I get why, it's fun to have some fun with this guy. Especially he's a BYU guy and you have the honor code and all that stuff. And especially based on his post-game comments a couple years ago when he beat the Utes in dramatic fashion, where he said he hates the University of Utah. He hates their fans. They're classless. So I get it. I understand why Ute fans are having some fun with this. But to me, this is really a sad thing, because this guy, at one point he lived every kid's dream. He's going to a major university. He made some big, huge plays in crunch time. He game-winning touchdown. What kid, when you're out there either shooting hoops or playing catch with your friends, doesn't envision that? Who doesn't fantasize about making the final touchdown pass
against your arch rival?
Against your arch rival. Now, one thing I did want to state is, if you look back at everything that happened with Max Hall in the past, and particularly if you look back at those post-game comments, this honestly probably isn't very surprising, and I'll tell you why. I didn't for a second think he would, be caught with drugs and shoplifted goods ever. But when he made that dramatic pass, and it was like a double overtime game, and it was against your arch rival, and they had beaten you every time you played them, and it was such a huge, huge moment, and he should have been on cloud nine. He should have been as happy and excited as a person ever could be. But instead, he was so consumed with anger and ill will towards a certain fan base that he chose to take that moment and turn it into a negative thing, which really did take away from his team, from the victory, from all of it. And it should have been a great moment. And he should have reveled in it. But he was so consumed with that anger and that negativity that that's what came out of him instead.
Right. It's kind of that whole press conference where, I hate Utah fans. They're whatever. What are they? They're
classless.
Classless. There we go. Really spoke to, if you ran that and you knew nothing about Max Hall, right? If you ran that clip to maybe a guy from Florida,
right,
and said, did he win or lose this game? What do you think? I mean, I think they would most people would say, not knowing any background and just hearing that clip saying, well, he just lost a heartbreaker. Well, that's the problem, you know? We don't ever wish or want someone to go through these sort of issues that he's having right now. I mean, he is the all-time leader in wins, 32 in BYU history. And I think he threw for 7 touchdowns in one game, if I remember correctly. He's got a lot of records, had a really successful career in and out of the pros, played for the CFL in 2013.
Sure.
Now he's coaching down in Arizona high school football. As you read the reports, it sounds like this was maybe a novice event for him where and hopefully for his sake, he's caught up early in and been kind of outed, if you will, early.
Before it became a big problem.
Right. And can get his life together. But it is sort of a weird juxtaposition we find ourselves in where, look, man, I still have the thing. Max Hall hates me. And I think I said this a couple weeks ago. I feel like we're cursing these people as we rattle off past names. Beginning of football season, last game of football season, I always make my eldest daughter wear that the night before the game.
Right, nice.
So she wore that.
The Max Hall hates me.
She wore that on Wednesday night. She'll wear it, in November.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of emotions for Ute fans. There's obviously a lot of emotion for BYU fans. I think all fan bases can agree it's a tough situation that he finds himself in. And it looks like he's really struggling with some demons, which there may have been preliminary indications existed, but not to this level.
Well, definitely not to this level. I want to make sure I'm clear. I didn't ever expect that Max Hall would be into drugs and shoplifting. That's not what I expected. But when you saw that press conference and then he took that time when he should have been on cloud 9, he should have been so happy and so ecstatic, and he turned it into such a negative thing. That was kind of a sign that, he's got some issues, some I don't want to say anger, but there's negativity that's kind of eating him up. And I'm not saying it's his fault at all, because I don't think it is, but something inside is kind of eating him up, and it's causing him to turn a very positive thing for him into an incredibly negative thing. Huge black eye on him and his character. And so players in general who are done with college football and can't make it to the next level, anyone who's in that situation has a hard time adjusting, a very hard time adjusting. But then you take someone who for all intents and for all appearances looks like he's being drowned by negative emotions for whatever reason, and you put him in that situation where football, his livelihood, everything that he's known up to that point is taken away from him. Suddenly he's not the star anymore. He's not a big man on campus. He's just another, once was football player, didn't make it in the NFL, short stint in the NFL, short stint in the CFL, really couldn't make it, ends up coaching high school football. There's no glory in that. And you're already, just swarming with negativity. It's gonna show itself in other ways, typically non-productive ways. And so I hope what you said, I agree. I hope this is kind of a wake-up call. I hope this is not him in deep. I hope it's him at the very beginning stages, because that's when you get it. And we talked to Chris Herron about this, who former Fresno State basketball player, former Celtic, who really got into drugs. I mean, he had so much potential, and he got into drugs hardcore. Well,
sorry to interrupt here. This is pretty interesting, this report. It says he's not just using the cocaine and maybe a novice manner. He told officers he was injecting himself with cocaine, so maybe it's deeper than I even originally thought.
That's not a beginning sign. No. If you're already injecting it, that's pretty sad.
There's some serious issues. Go on, I apologize.
And Chris Herron should be a great example. And honestly, I think a guy like Chris Herron would be a perfect person for Max Hall to get in touch with, because Chris Chris Herron was on this show, and he basically told us his story, which was tragic, absolutely tragic. But he was able to turn it around, and he said the best way to stop this stuff is prevention. You got to get this before it happens, before it goes too far. And I mean, if unfortunately, if Max Hall's already injecting it, if that's the case, then it looks like it may be pretty far down the road. But I firmly believe it's never too late. And I know a lot of Ute fans are having fun with this. A lot of Ute fans are probably watching this, knowing that we're Ute fans, and saying, why aren't you, jumping on this? Why aren't you having fun? To me, this is a very serious issue. And I take this very seriously, because this is not just, my rival, got busted for underage drinking or something, or something minor. This is a serious issue. He's got a wife, he's got kids, and this could affect a lot of people in a very tragic way. And again, not to keep harping on this, but Chris Herron even said on this show that, victims of substance abuse, it's not just the users. It's not just the substance abusers who are the victims. It's their family members, and they should be counted in that as well. And it's just a very sad story. I really do. Despite everything, I didn't like him on the field, okay, because I'm a Ute fan, but I wish him absolutely no ill will at all. I really hope he gets it together and is able to fix this, because, first of all, it's hard enough to go through something like this on your own, but he's got to do it in the public spotlight. I mean, he's not in Utah anymore, which is probably a good thing for him. He just doesn't have to face this media, crap that's going on all day. But it's still in the public eye, and you still have a lot of very bitter Ute fans who are saying some very mean things, and it's definitely going to get back to his wife and kids. And it's just a really sad story.
Yeah, and I think you hit on the most important point. I'm sure he can deal with it. He's a man. He can handle the criticism of him, but really when it hits home is when it, lay off the children, lay off his wife, let him, kind of get through this process and have the opportunity to start rebuilding his life, whether it's being, a football coach or whatever other path he takes. We wish Max all the best.
Absolutely. And
did you ever think you'd really say that, though? It takes kind of a
no,
does kind of take a serious moment for me to say that.
That's a really good point. Did I ever think that I would be hearing you say the words, "We wish Max all the best," and then me totally 100% agreeing with it? Never in a million years.
That day.
But hey, you know what? There are things more important than football.
Absolutely.
There absolutely are, and it's something that we like to talk about a lot. We like to highlight these issues because I think it's important, and I think these are issues that affect all athletes and all sports fans. So it's stuff we have to face. So, but let's move on. Play a quick bumper, and then we're going to come right back, and we're going to talk a little bit about Week 1 of college football, and later on we're going to preview Week 1 of the NFL. It's Dog and Deuce on Cape Outer TV and doganddeuce.com.
We want to know what you think. Leave us a rating or review in iTunes. Just search for Dog and Deuce in the iTunes store.
It's Dog and Deuce on Cape Outer Television and doganddeuce.com, as well as iTunes. It's a quick bumper for iTunes, but if you do go into the iTunes store, you can look up the show. You'll find the audio feed there. And if you have a second, we would really appreciate it if you write a little review. Even if you don't want to write a review, you can just click 1 to 5 stars and rate the show. It really means a lot to us when people do that, because it gives us valuable feedback on what we can do to make it more enjoyable. And plus, it helps us get in front of more people. So we really appreciate that. Let's move on to Week 1 of college football. Where do you want to start?
Let's start up on the hill with the drum and feather, the red and white, crimson and white of the University of Utah. 56-14 shellacking of the Idaho State Bengals. What were your thoughts as you were happily watching the Utes run up and down the field as if they're playing the high school team?
Right. It was like a video game. A lot of Ute fans were, watching this game, I was on Twitter the whole time. A lot of Ute fans they weren't panicking, but they were really worried. And yeah, there are some areas of concern for sure, definitely. But they still kicked the crap out of Idaho State. They still did what they were supposed to do, absolutely. And some of the panic that I saw is unwarranted. I understand, though, if you're a fan, and every little misplay, missed tackle, non-interception that should have been, every one of those little things is going to drive you crazy, and you're going to read a lot into it. I get it, but don't worry. They did what they had to do. It really wasn't a test. We really didn't learn a lot from Week 1. The only things I did learn, though, were that the Utes cannot miss tackles anymore. They cannot miss tackles. you're going to get killed, even against Fresno State. And then 2, you have got to force some takeaways. Against Idaho State, and you don't have one takeaway, that's a big problem.
Yeah, and we talked about this all last year. The defense, which normally is strong, whether it's Whittingham, Sataki, any of those guys, causing turnovers has been a hallmark, a calling card of the Ute defense for many years. And last year, I think they only had 5 total turnovers. To lose the turnover battle against a team like Idaho State, where you win 56-14, is not only shocking, frankly, it's unacceptable.
Especially because you're going to be facing some very difficult defenses this year, and they're going to be taking away a lot from you. They are going to be forcing turnovers on you. So you've got to be able to do this to return the favor. You have to, or you're going to be dead.
Right.
You won't stand a chance in any game you're in.
Right, and we can't expect. I know special teams have also been an important part of the Ute success, whether it was with Reggie Dunn, Shaky Smithson in the past. Look, we can't expect 2 returns for touchdowns on a kickoff and a punt. The other really concerning thing is, again, against a team that they were clearly better than, higher talent level, better coaching. They still had 7 penalties for 54 yards. This is the type of game where I would expect the Utes to be in the 1 to 2 to 3 penalty range, because you're a superior athlete. 7 for 54, no good. And look, 2 out of 3 times that Idaho State got into the red zone, they scored a touchdown. Not a field goal, a touchdown. This leaves me slightly concerned about the defense, and if we're going to have a repeat of last year. Look, it's only going to get harder, and if the Utes defense doesn't step up considerably, it could be a long year. Could be a very long year.
Definitely, and you brought up a great point about the penalties. Normally, any other team, I saw this many penalties in week 1 against an FCS team, I would say, it's first game jitters. It's going to happen, but not with the Kyle Whittingham team, because we have seen year in and year, and a lot of people don't acknowledge this, which is really surprising to me. But year in and year out, Kyle Whittingham teams are very undisciplined, at least penalty wise, very, very undisciplined, and I don't understand it because you would expect. I mean, everyone said he's tough defensively. He's the prototypical coach that you would expect to be a tough disciplinarian. But I don't know what it is, but penalties have always been a problem with his teams. And so it is a concern. It absolutely is a concern for me. I know this is Idaho State, and I just went on the rant about not getting too excited about it, but it's worrisome.
It's just a continual pattern. And
exactly.
And look,
exactly.
If you're doing it when you outmatch a team physically, talent-wise, the problem is when the team's better than you talent-wise, they're only going to go up in penalties,
right,
whether it's holding, pass interference, etc. It'll be real interesting to see if they can flip the dynamic, win the turnover battle, and as well as have less penalties versus Fresno State.
Definitely. Now, depending on when you're watching this, the Fresno State game might be over. So we're not gonna preview it too much, but we're gonna run through it real quick. What do you expect to see against Fresno?
Look, Fresno's in a tough spot coming off a USC shellacking, 56, 52, 14, something like that. Yeah, bad outing. They're running the 2-quarterback system. They lost Derek Carr, who's going to be the starter for the Raiders. They're still going to have the V on the back of the helmet for the Valley. I think the Utes should win this game, but I think it's going to be closer than the USC game was with Fresno State.
And I expect that too. And unfortunately, we were going to have our good friends from what was once called the Dog Bite Podcast, is now called Doghouse Weekly. They're putting together a new show. We were going to have him on to preview this game. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it, so we're going to get him on later in the season, probably when Utah State matches up against Fresno State. So I just wanted to give him a quick shout out. But I expect the same thing. Honestly, I don't think the Utes will have too much trouble, but it will definitely be closer than the USC game, without a doubt. I picture this being a 14-point victory for the Utes.
How many points do you think they're going to score?
Utah?
Yeah.
I'm going to say 28.
28-14 is your pick?
28-14.
I think if they only score 28, they could lose. They're going to have to score 35.
I just don't see it.
35 to 38.
I just don't see it. I mean, honestly, running game was much better in week 1 than I expected. Bubba Poole killed it. I'm expecting to see a lot more. But I've not seen enough consistency with this offense in recent years, really ever since Brian Johnson left. So I just can't see them scoring more than that.
I'm going 31-24 Utah.
31-24. All right.
I seriously, if they only get to 28, it's going to be close. I
think it will be too. And
what? Yeah.
But the thing is, Fresno, honestly, that was a bad loss, man. A really bad loss to USC. I feel bad for the Bulldog fans, but it really is not a very good team right now. And the 2 quarterback system, fans in Utah know very well it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And they're going to have to settle on a quarterback by the end of this game, I think, in order to even keep it close. But I think that's going to be enough, though, for the Utes to just take care of business. They're going to get it done. Let's move on real quick. You are watching, by the way, and listening to Dog and Deuce on K-Powder TV and dogandeuce.com. Let's move on to the Cougars in their Week 1 game against UConn, Connecticut. You thought they were going to struggle with them.
And 35-10, they come out of wherever UConn is in Connecticut. I'm not sure. Hartford, maybe. I'll just throw that out there.
Yeah, that sounds good. I've heard of that place.
35-10. It was, look, I'm not as high on that it was a beatdown as you are.
Did you watch it?
I think there were some ugly parts to that game for the Cougars.
Like what?
Like allowing 10 points to UConn.
A team that you expected them to struggle with.
I mean, look, I didn't watch enough of it.
You're in a catch-22 here, buddy.
I am. I expected them to struggle, and I wouldn't say 35-10. It's not a struggle. Don't get me wrong by any stretch of the imagination. But I wasn't left overly impressed. And when you're rolling into Austin this weekend, there's some issues that I think BYU needs to resolve. First of all, the question becomes, is Taysom Hill really going to be able to run as much as he had last year? I don't know if that's such a viable option, and you saw a lot of it, and he passed well too versus UConn.
Oh, he killed it.
Yeah.
Passing game.
But that's not Texas. And
you're right. And one thing to be noted, the attendance at the Connecticut game was like 35,000 or something. It was nothing.
Right.
Absolutely nothing. But, yeah, it's UConn. They're not very good. They're just not very good. And I totally understand why BYU fans are really excited. And they should be excited because they saw Taysom Hill do something that you have not seen him do up to this point, and that is throw the ball effectively and accurately. And he did it. But at the same time, I would caution you from getting way too optimistic about that because it is just UConn, and Texas is much more difficult. He definitely, I think they're going to learn from last year's mistake. They're not going to give him the run game. They're going to want him to beat them with his arm. And this will be the test. You mark my words. This will be the test. He won't be able to run all over the place. He's going to have to throw it accurately if he wants to get out of Texas with a victory. He's going to have to.
See, I mean, here's the thing. If you run down the stats, look, UConn only had 4 less first downs than BYU. I know they had a lot of big plays that BYU did. They were better on third down efficiency than BYU was, 8 of 17. BYU was 5 of 12. I mean, really what set them over the top was that the BYU defense stopped the rush. They had 205 yards, BYU did. UConn only had 71. To me, that was a difference in the game. First half, they came out 28-7 at halftime. And look, third and fourth quarter, they played them pretty tight. There's a lot of game film there for Texas and Charlie Strong to look at and find answers that UConn couldn't in the middle of a game.
And a couple things real quick I'll mention. One thing about Taysom Hill that we saw him do, which we have not seen him do in the past, was when he starts to scramble, he wasn't just automatically running. He was still looking for the open man. And that is huge. That's absolutely huge. Because if he can get that in his arsenal, game over, man. This kid will be very good. I know a lot of you fans don't want to admit it, and I understand it. Trust me. It breaks my heart to have to say it. But this kid is good. He's a good talent. Still no Chucky Keaton in my opinion. But there was a big Twitter argument on who's the best quarterback in the state. So I just had to throw it in there.
It's Chucky.
Definitely Chucky. There's not even, I don't know how you can deny that.
Here's another thing that I want BYU fans to think about. Okay, you got the 35-10 win. Good. Congratulations. All that really matters week 1 is that you get the W. 15 penalties for 150 yards. Look, that's not going to be good enough against Texas. That's not going to be good enough against Central Florida. Might not be good enough against Virginia, how we saw them play last week versus UCLA. And you also had 2 fumbles. We've talked about it before. Early on in the year, BYU struggles because of, their belief about hitting in fall camp.
Right.
2 fumbles put on the ground, 2 fumbles lost. That is not indicative of a team, to me, that's ready to play Texas and beat them in Austin.
Sure. I mean, I think there's more to it than just that, but I know what you mean. As far as the penalties go, and I'll admit it, all right? There were a lot of bad calls in this game, and most of them went against BYU for sure. But that's no excuse. Absolutely no excuse. You still should not be committing that many penalties. The other thing I will say in the Cougars' favor is that every time it looked like Connecticut was going to start swinging the momentum, they stopped them cold. They either got a takeaway or some big play to stop that momentum and halt it, which is very important. It's something the Utes have not been able to do. So I'm very jealous right now. And I say this from a very bitter and angry place because I would love to see that. So definitely there are a lot of positives, but I'm going to say the exact same thing I said about Utah. This is UConn, all right? This is not Texas. This is UConn. This is not a very good team. Yes, it's still an FBS team. So, you should be excited about seeing the improvement in Taysom Hill's arm and, his scrambling and still throwing the ball ability and some of the other stuff I mentioned, but don't get too overexcited. It's a tendency we see a lot in the state from all the local fan bases. Just wait to see. This will be the test. This weekend in Austin will be the test. You may even know what the outcome is. We may just look like idiots.
Let me tell you the outcome.
All right, hit me, James.
I'm going 31-21, University of Texas.
Wow, okay.
I mean, I know they're without Ash. But really what concerns me is the defense. The defense, everyone's high on the defense in Texas. Texas defense is always good. Last week, to add to the penalties, to add to the turnovers, BYU also allowed 4 sacks. Against UConn, yeah. I would expect less, just like I expected less hitting of our quarterback when Kendall Thompson was in the game for the University of Utah. 4 for 18, that's too many. I expect that to be at least, a minimum that Texas will get 4 and maybe more, 7 range.
I got it 37-34 Texas.
37. Woo! We got a shootout on our hands.
I'll tell you why, because and then we got to move on, man. Time's going quick. But BYU, last year they tried to do the air raid. They tried to move it fast. They looked discombobulated. Last game, week 1, they looked good. They looked like they're much improved on being able to run that high-tempo, up-tempo offense. And I don't really expect anything different from Robert and I because that's the offense he wants to run, and it takes a little bit to get used to it, to get the tools you need, and to get used to the pacing. And they're right in that zone where they are going to make drastic improvements in running that offense over last year. Next year is when you're going to see him just destroy it.
Right.
And it'll be back to the old school BYU days where, quarterback where just long bombs left and right. So, but you're going to see a little bit of that, and I think it's going to start coming out not tomorrow, but this weekend in Austin.
We'll see.
All right, let's play a quick bumper, and we'll be right back to talk about Utah State. And then a little bit later, we're talking NFL. The NFL is finally here. It's Dog and Deuce on K-Powder TV and dogandeuce.com. We'll be right back.
Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. Just search @Dog and Deuce.
A lot of good Twitter interaction for me this weekend. Not for you, though, right? You kind of shied away a little bit.
I stayed away from the Twitter holiday. Just try to keep it peaceful on my Labor Day.
I understand. Twitter can be quite upsetting sometimes. Stressful. That's the word, stressful. Do want to give a shout out to our good friend Andrew Fox. Fox on a Box, I think is his Twitter handle. We'll put it right there, whatever it is. He got to keep the love up for the U, man. He's a little sick of the media over covering BYU. He says it's never going to change. I honestly, I have to disagree a little bit. I think once Utah starts playing good schools, you're going to see more. And once Utah starts winning more, you're going to see more coverage too. It's just right now, it's just kind of Idaho State. Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, the first week, yeah, and we'll see how it goes. Also, Utah has to do their part and win and make the stories interesting.
Definitely.
Or the games close.
Definitely.
But yeah, we'll see how it changes. I think when UCLA and USC come up and Oregon and Stanford, I think there'll be a significant shift in the media coverage of Utah versus BYU.
Definitely. And there has already been a shift. It used to be all BYU all the time.
Right.
And that's one thing people have to remember. It is, the fan base is getting bigger. We're in the Pac-12. You got a lot of transplants coming in, and that's going to change things. But BYU's still number one because they got the bigger fan base. I understand that. I'd love to see more coverage, but then I'm just me. So, but let's talk a little bit about Utah State. What a disappointment, man. What a disappointment. And I can point to the one single aspect of the team that let them down: the offensive line.
You win in the trenches and you lose in the trenches.
I mean, if that offensive line could even have if they could even be a quarter as good as they were last year, then this would have been a much different game. But Chucky could not get anything going. The running game could not get anything going. It was tough.
Yeah, between Joe Hill and Chucky Keaton, it was a rough day for the offensive line, the receivers. Everyone at Utah State, I'm sure, is disappointed. I'm disappointed because I picked you to win, and you made me look a little foolish. Wasn't even close, 38-7. You don't score a touchdown till 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
It's tough.
They need better. I expect better. I know Matt Wells up there expects better from Utah State, as does Chucky Keaton. The question is, if this is going to be a reoccurring theme, my 11-1 looks really unlikely right now. I'm sticking with it because I have faith.
I like that.
I have faith. I'm sticking with it because I have faith.
I like that.
But the problem is, there'll be no problems this week, so I'll still be good for at least another week. I'm pretty sure. They're
playing Idaho State. Utah's opponent from last week.
Right. That's a short drive from Logan to Pocatello, or vice versa. I guess it's in Logan. So from Pocatello to Logan, short drive. I think they'll be able to handle the Idaho State Bengals. If any indication of what you did to them, I expect a similar result. But man, you're the game on Sunday night, SEC Network.
It's tough.
You had a chance to make a statement about Utah State, how far they've come, and to just lay up. And I don't want to say they rolled over for them, but there were times where I was watching that game in the second half where I was like, man, why don't we just, I don't even know.
Just threw in the towel. I mean,
yeah, it felt like that.
Just got to the point where it was just too much. And every time you thought that they were going to put together a drive, there'd be a takeaway or some big play, and it was really, really disappointing, especially because it would have been nice. It would have been great to showcase Chucky Keaton at his best. But when you don't have protection, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. When you don't have the gaps open for your running game, there's nothing you can do. You are just dead in the water. And it's huge. It's absolutely huge. It's really too bad. So my question, okay, you're sticking with your 11-1 prediction.
I am.
Okay.
11-1.
Good on you. Good on you. I like that. But does this change how you think that the Aggies are going to play? Do you think it's going to be as easy as 11-1 as you may have thought before? I mean, the Mountain West isn't looking very good right now.
Yeah, Boise struggled week one. Look, I thought their talent level, specifically at the quarterback position, was a lot better than most of the teams they're going to be playing.
Right.
So my 11-1 prediction lies squarely on the shoulders of Chucky Keaton to be able to make it happen.
You can't put that much on him, though, because
I'm putting it on him.
He really is only as good as his offensive line.
In some cases, yes.
I mean,
I'm not the one who started the Heisman campaign. Blame your PR department.
Right.
I'm buying in. I'm buying in. You've got me hooked. Now make it happen, Chucky. Look, the bottom line is he wasn't good enough. 18 of 35 for 144 yards. Only sacked once. They were getting a lot of pressure.
Which is incredible.
But only sacked once.
But that's the skill he's got with his legs. He can get it done.
And I often wonder, this is something that makes me wonder. He only had 8 rushes for 23 yards.
Right.
My question is he a little hesitant? Did you feel hesitancy? I kind of feel hesitancy, which is smart. Because he can't be getting him hurt again, because then the season's over.
Without a doubt. You know what? Without a doubt. And he should play that way.
Right. But, man, that opportunity, I really thought the team was ready and prepared, based on all the reports we've heard out of Logan, to at least make it close. I predicted a win, and they didn't. And I'm sure they're really happy that they have Idaho State, who they won't overlook, but maybe they can get right on. Gets the schemes right up front, gets some passing going, and get some running going for Joe Hill.
And what was the score of this game? Do you have it in front of you?
38-7.
38. Wow.
That's a bad one.
That's tough, man. That's tough. So this week, Idaho State, you got a score?
Oh, man.
Doesn't even matter.
Beat them
just a lot.
56-14. I'll say 38-10.
That's actually right around what I was going to pick.
38-10.
I was actually going to say, I think 41-10, I think is what I had.
41-10.
All right. All right, man.
We'll either look really smart or really bad next week.
Well, this game's already over, so you already know.
Right.
These viewers already know.
Feel free to leave a voicemail at the Dog and Deuce.
That's true. In fact, let me play this thing. Take note, because you have free reign to call us whatever names you want. Tell us how stupid we are, or, I wouldn't shy away from playing voicemails that tell us how ingenious we are.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
What do you think? Call or text the DND voicemail and text line at 801-47-SPORT and tell us what's on your mind.
That's 801-477-7678. That's 801-47-SPORT. It's been scrolling on the bottom of your screen all show long for everyone who has been viewing on K-Powder TV or on YouTube. We do make our shows available on YouTube each and every week. As soon as they air on TV, right after that, we'll put them up on YouTube. And our YouTube page, by the way, is youtube.com/DDonsports. Check it out. Give us a subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. We need it, man. YouTube hates us.
Yeah.
Oh, man, does YouTube hate us?
I don't think it's getting any better after this week's performance.
No kidding, right? But we have a really bad track record with YouTube. Oof.
They don't like truth.
Yeah, that's it.
They don't like truth.
Man, they don't like
truth with a capital T.
And you notice how it is? Everyone who's been ripping on us, they're all, they're not local people.
No.
You notice that?
Yeah, I know. I guess we don't fit in outside of the state of Utah, maybe.
I guess not.
But I don't fit in here, so I'm in trouble. Trouble.
This is a rough existence for us. All right. Let's move on to the NFL. Do you think we could do this in 15 minutes?
We can do this in 15 minutes. I'm so excited for the big boys to get on the field.
This is your bread and butter.
Oh, my God.
This is what you live for. See, I'm about college football. That's my favorite.
Right. And I love it.
I know
college
you love
football
it too.
a lot.
I know.
But, man.
But I will tell you this. I've said this many, many, many times on this show, and I'll say it for all our new viewers and all our new listeners who have not heard me say it a million times. Of anyone locally, you are by far have the most insight in the NFL than anyone. I'm telling you, I've heard it all than anyone in the local media, anyone who is covering the NFL. Locally, you have by far the most insight and the most to say, and you know more about it than anybody locally.
Look, man, one thing you should be excited about, Roger Goodell finally getting serious on domestic violence.
And I'll tell you what, I could not be happier about that. I tweeted it out when it happened.
Second time, lifetime ban. He finally took.
That's how it should be.
He heard the cries from the crowd. Boy, serious. Whether it was done for the right or wrong reasons, to me,
Doesn't matter.
People. Yeah, see, to me, people want to question this, like, oh,
you know what? I don't care.
It's a PR image.
You know what? I don't care. I'll take a PR image as long as you're doing some good.
Right. If you're doing the right thing, it never really matters to me why you're doing it.
And we've been talking about this forever. He wants to regulate the field, the violence on the field, but doesn't seem to care about violence off the field,
right?
Which is far more damaging,
right? To the absolutely, to the reputation of the league.
To the reputation of the league. Plus, on the field, at least you got guys in helmets and pads. Right. If you're beating your wife and you're a huge, 6'10".
Whoa, there's not many 6'10".
Not 6'10", but whatever.
Let's go 6'6".
6'6", 250-pound player, and you're beating on your wife. She has no defense, and she is totally at your mercy. You could kill her with one hit.
Single blow.
Exactly, and so it's why it's so important. And I don't even agree with his regulation of on-the-field stuff that he's made. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Right.
But off the field, it's finally time. Let's give him credit. We've ripped on him enough. Let's give him credit. He stepped up. He's finally doing something for the greater good. I don't care if it's a PR move. I don't care because it's the right move, and it's going to protect people, and that's what's important.
Absolutely. And, I mean, he was so concerned in the past about players' off-field antics to now have actually repercussions for, to me, in my humble opinion, what is more serious of a crime or a negative impact in domestic violence. It's a good move by Roger Goodell. And I'll be interested to see, do you have any guess in the next year to 2 years how many players will be banned? Will there be any?
Honestly, when push comes to shove, I hate to say it, especially how much I was just singing his praises, but when push comes to shove, I can see a lot of loopholes being
there are some
found
loopholes
here, and I can see him not wanting to dish out the tough punishment. I really can.
Well, that's
because we've seen it time and time again with him.
That's when we'll be back on the criticism.
I hope I'm wrong.
For this
really
week, you get off all right, Roger Goodell.
But what if it was like a Tom Brady? I mean, I'm not saying.
Whoa.
That's like the last person you'd expect to be beating his wife or whatever. But what if it was? Do you think, like, let's say Tom Brady? Let's say Peyton Manning in his prime gets 2 instances of domestic violence. Is Peyton Manning banned for life from the NFL?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Absolutely not, actually. I could say definitively.
Right, exactly, right?
I don't think there's any way if that were the case. No. Let's go through these games. I'm so excited.
Right.
It starts tomorrow. Packers at Seahawks, defending champs versus the Cheeseheads. Who you got? I know you're part owner.
I am. My Packers. They are my Packers. I do own them. All right, hold on. Let me get my thing here. All right, Green Bay. My Green Bay Packers at Seattle. Green Bay. Definitely, without a doubt.
See, I'm with you. I know Russell Wilson.
I thought you were gonna. I was gonna get the blank stare.
I know Russell Wilson's had a great preseason. I know that defense is off the hook. Hey, man, he's improving. He's still young. Sometimes you gotta take what you can from the preseason. But here's the thing: Aaron Rodgers is gonna go into Century One Field or whatever it's called up there now, the Link, whatever the hell they want to call it. I think he's going to put it on this defense early. I love the arrogance or cockiness or confidence of Seattle's defense, but I think the Packers have a lot to prove this year. Even though they made the playoffs last year and Aaron Rodgers was hurt, I think the Packers are sort of on a mission to try to overtake my Chicago Bears, which won't happen in the long run. But on Thursday night, I believe they get the win. It's 24-21.
It's going to be ring night. They're going to be getting their rings. They're going to be hyped up, and I really think Green Bay is going to go in there and they're going to shut up that crowd. They're going to shut them down. I really don't think Pete Carroll's. This is a problem with Pete Carroll. He gets arrogant, very arrogant, and I can see him thinking, "Oh, we got this. This is our ring night. We're getting our rings. Crowd's going to be into it. We're Super Bowl champions." I can see not overlooking them, but I can see him, being a little arrogant, and that's going to transfer down and go into the players, and I can see them not being as prepared as they should be.
Well, and I think also Aaron Rodgers wants to make a statement, an early statement.
Without a doubt.
McCarthy and him are going to put together some double moves. You're going to see some touchdown passes that you won't see as the season progresses against that vaunted Seahawks defense.
All right, next up, New Orleans at Atlanta. Who you got?
Man, you got the Dirty Birds.
This
Jamal
is tough,
Anderson's
though. I mean,
team
first
versus the Saints.
First week of the year is always tough for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, and these are some big games.
Right. Huge.
I mean,
huge.
This is a division game. They only see them one more time this year. This could define who wins the division, who makes the playoffs right out of the blocks. Right. Look, man, I'm going with the New Orleans Saints. I'm going with Breeziana. I'm going with Mark Ingram, Alabama running back, national title winner in college. And that defense, I think, is going to be much improved under one of the Ryan brothers, Rob Ryan, I do believe. I'm going with the Saints, probably in the range of 35-31.
I'm going to go with the Saints too. Actually, it's really tough to win in that dome, but I think they're going to take care of business. All right, next up we got Minnesota. My Minnesota Vikings. That's right. I got 2 teams in this.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'm a fan of Minnesota. I'm a fan of the Vikings. I own the Green Bay Packers.
That's right.
Let's make this perfectly clear.
He's got ownership interests.
That's right. I do. They are traveling to St. Louis. Minnesota is so screwed, man.
No, they're not. First of all, Sam Bradford's out for the year for the Rams.
I'm not talking about this game.
They're winning this game. It doesn't matter if you got Matt Castle, Teddy Bridgewater, whoever you want to throw behind there. You got Adrian Peterson. Bottom line, I'm going Vikings. I think it's going to be a substantial win, 35-17.
Really?
35-17. I'm expecting also another guy who I think is really motivated to have a really big year is Adrian Peterson. He had that 2 years ago. He had the run where he was going to break the NFL single-season rushing record. Last year, struggled a little bit at times. I think he's beginning to get back on track.
Well, I'm going to do that thing where I pick against my team always, and then if they win, I'm super happy.
Right.
That way I'm never let down.
So you're going with Jeff Fisher and the St. Louis Rams.
I am.
All right.
All right. After that, we got Cleveland at Pittsburgh.
No Johnny football, but there is a Ben Roethlisberger. Brian Hoyer. I don't think he can hold mustard against Ben Roethlisberger in that Steelers offense. I'm going Steelers just based on quarterback play alone.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I don't think I don't think Cleveland even has a chance, to be honest with you. Jacksonville at Philadelphia.
Got Nick Foles there running the show under Chip Kelly, who reportedly wanted to pay a tight end a house and a car, then left Oregon. I got to go with the Eagles just because, Jacksonville's got a long way to prove until they're playing one of the lower echelon teams in the NFL for me to pick them.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you there. Oakland at the Jets. I got the Jets in this one.
This is a toss-up. I wonder what Fireman Ed would say, former guest of the show. I'm going to go with the Raiders. Derek Carr, we're talking about Fresno State with the Utes. Very successful career over there in Fresno. He's going to get thrown to the wolves, so to speak. I'm just not sure the Jets' offense is going to be that potent with Geno Smith running the show.
Wait, so you had the Raiders?
Got the Raiders.
Raiders. Gotcha. Sorry, I'm writing down all our picks.
I know.
So
keep track.
I am. Oh, don't you worry. You still haven't beat me. For all that football knowledge spinning around in that head of yours, all that NFL genius, you still can't beat me, man.
Yeah, because you pick against me intentionally.
Well, then by that logic, you should win.
I should.
But you don't.
And I question the tally.
I
continually question the tally.
For saying that I pick against you, deliberately, we've got a lot of the same picks here so far.
I know. That's why I'm going first.
All right, where are we going? We got Cincinnati at Baltimore. All right, I'll go first again. I got Baltimore.
You got Baltimore. I'll take the Bengals and Andy Dalton, A.J. Green. I'm worried about the Ravens' defense. Flacco, can he, withstand the pressure after winning the ring a few years ago? They struggled last year. I think last year was the first time the Ravens didn't make the playoffs in the last 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
I like Andy Dalton. I like, what Marvin Lewis has going on in Cincinnati. Again, week 1, a huge game, division rivals. Andy Dalton, A.J. Green get the win.
All right, moving on. Where am I at now? All right, Buffalo at your Chicago Bears.
So excited for this game. You know where I'll be at 11 a.m. on Sunday.
Drunk.
Yeah, maybe not.
Well, no, you'll be drunk at about 4 when they lose to the Buffalo Bills.
That ain't happening.
Jay
Cutler, Brandon Marshall,
I got Chicago.
Matt Forte are not going to allow that to happen. 35-10 Chicago.
Wow, nice, man. All right, next up we got Washington at the Houston Texans. I'm going to go with Houston on this one, the hometown Texans.
Look, I'm expecting here's another storyline of people that I think really need to rebound. Haven't done so well in the preseason. That's Robert Griffin III. I'm going with the Skins. I refuse to add the red in front. Washington over the Texans, even though it's on the road.
Wow, so you got Washington, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right, next up, Tennessee at Kansas City. And I like the extension of Alex Smith's contract. I'm going KC.
Big money for Alex Smith, a big win. Jamal Charles, Alex Smith, Dwayne Bowe. They can't hold him down. Tennessee struggled the last few years. Jake Locker, I don't know if he's going to be the pick they thought the Tennessee Titans thought he would be when they drafted him out of Washington. I'm with you. I got Kansas City Chiefs.
New England at Miami. Of course, I got the Patriots, even though it's on the road. Tom Brady, man.
Tom Brady, the Patriots are another team. Gosh, there's so many storylines that they got to rebound.
I know, right?
You got to go with the Pats. When in doubt, go with the Pats.
Carolina at Tampa Bay. No, thank you.
Cam Newton's hurting a little bit in the rib area.
He is, and that's exactly why I got Tampa Bay.
I'm going with Tampa Bay as well. I love Lovie Smith, even though he never brought the Bears to the promised land. I'll take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And this is going to be a good game. San Francisco at Dallas.
Who you got? You got them Niners, that golden red, or you got that silver and blue?
I got the Niners.
I'm going with the Cowboys.
Oh, really?
I mean, I don't really think they're going to win. I'm just picking against you now. I'm pulling your strategy.
All right.
Tony Romo versus Colin Kaepernick. Of importance, I know we say preseason doesn't matter, but the first unit of the 49ers has not scored a single freaking point in the preseason.
But how long were they on the field?
Long enough that they should have scored a point if they're going to be that good.
All right, good point.
They're one of the only teams, first unit, that hasn't scored a point.
That's bad.
I'd be concerned if I was a San Francisco 49er fan, but what do I know?
So you're going Dallas.
Going Dallas.
Okay, then. Indianapolis, owner back in trouble again at everyone locally's Denver Broncos.
Wow, what a way to start Sunday night football. Way to kick it off there. Colts, former team versus Peyton Manning. I expect big things out of Andrew Luck this year, but it ain't gonna happen week 1 versus Peyton Manning. He's gonna put his throat on the proverbial neck of the horses called the Colts. Horse versus horse.
It's the horse bull.
It is
the thoroughbred bull. I don't know. There's got to be a good name there somewhere.
Yeah, we'll find it eventually. I got Broncos 38-10. Although Wes Welker is suspended for 4 games for amphetamines.
That's right. Got to keep that in mind.
I don't think it's going to matter. Don't think it's going to matter.
Not in this game, it won't. All right, got 2-3 minutes left. How about the New York Giants at the Detroit Lions?
Will Eli continue to throw interceptions? Will Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson be the duo again this year? I'm going Lions, man.
I am too, actually.
Woo!
At home.
We barely ever pick the Lions.
I know. I know. I thought for sure you were going to go Giants on that one.
I'm going Lions.
Wow. All right. And then this is the Monday night game. There are 2 Monday night games. The nightcap of the Monday night game. San Diego at Arizona. Oh man, this is. I've gone back and forth on this one. I think I'm going to go Arizona.
I'm going Chargers.
You're going Chargers?
I like Phillip Rivers. Again, he's another one of those stories that think about 5 years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago. God, how long has Phillip Rivers been in the league? At least since 2005. Antonio Gates, Rivers, Damian Tomlinson over there in San Diego. Such a special unit that couldn't really get over the hump in the playoffs. They got something to prove. Tough division. I got Chargers.
You almost had me convinced. Almost. Would that just be the biggest jerk move to change my picks right now?
It's on tape.
I'm not.
Don't try to change it.
I'm not confident in that pick, but I'm not going to change it.
Okay, good.
I really don't believe in the Arizona Cardinals. You can't.
How can you?
But you know what? Here's the thing. I should have picked San Diego because San Diego kills it at the beginning of every season.
They do.
The first 6 games, they kill it.
I know.
And then they tank.
They get off to those good starts and struggle down the stretch. They need to get off to a good start given that they're in a division, that has the Broncos, has the Chiefs.
That's going
to be a good division to watch all year as it was last year.
Definitely. So are you confident? You confident in your picks?
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter because you'll be smiling Sunday, all day Sunday.
No question.
You're stoked, man.
This
is how I felt on Thursday night of last week.
Man.
Well, I know you were excited about that too, though.
I was way excited about that, but man, when you see the big boys get on the field, there ain't nothing like it.
Well, okay, this is a very good question for our viewers and listeners out there. College or NFL? Which do you prefer? I prefer college because these kids are playing their hearts out for no money. They're playing to make money later on. That's what I'd like to see, man. So get at us. Let us know what you think of that. You can tweet us at A Martindale Film is my Twitter handle. Yours is at Dog and Deuce. You control the show's Twitter feed. You can also always email us. And you know what? Just go to our website. That's the best way to do it. I try and list off all the stuff, and I forget stuff, and I don't mention the Facebook page, and I don't mention all the Google Plus page and all that crap. We got it all over at doganddeuce.com. Go there. It's your one-stop shop for everything of our show. And who wouldn't want to do that? In the meantime, you can always call or text the D&D Show voicemail and text line at 801-477-7678. That's 801-47-SPORT. Send us an email to doganddeuce@gmail.com. I'm Dog.
I'm Deuce.
And we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening.